I don't know if this is the right version wording of the deck. Experimental Affinity, Frenzy Affinity. I don't know what name TJ is calling it, or what name the Affinity players have determined is the best version to refer to this as. But when I call it this, I think most people understand what it's supposed to be. So if you are wondering how this deck is different than others, I will go over the list now because it is the top 8 and we do have access to these players' deck lists. They will get posted up this week for you guys to be able to view and enjoy. Now, if you are subscribed on Patreon, that you do get access to the deck list before anybody else gets access. So that is one of the kind of benefits that we have set up over there for specific deck lists. Now, it is an experimental Frenzy version of it. It is running 24 creatures in his list. So that is kind of chock full of creatures. A lot of those 0, 1, 2 drops, easy to kind of pump out. It's got those kind of 20 spells, if you will, because it is running that play set of Galv Blast in there. It's got the play set of Cranial Plating, 2 Experimental Frenzies, and then sort of kind of the extra package deal that you'd expect to see. Mox Opal, Springleaf Drum, Welding Jar, things like that. Land base, TJ is on 17 lands. Pretty much majority are play sets. He's got the Blinks, the Inks, the Dark Steels. Then he's got the kind of variants of it. 3 Spire, 1 Mountain, 1 Inventor's Fair for his main board there. And again, TJ is one of our players that is a 3-time champion. On the other side of things, Lucas, one of the players that has not played in a top 8 invitational since we started up. He was on hiatus for Magic for quite some time, and he came back and had been piloting Phoenix for most of the season, but recently switched back over to the mono green Tron. So we do have a list of what he's running. He's only got 8 creatures in his list: 3 Wormcoil, 2 Ulamog, 1 Walking Ballista, 1 Worldbreaker, 1 Thragtusk, all hanging out in the main board. Of course, any Tron list would be incomplete without the Planewalker package that he's got. And he's got 4 Karn Liberated, 2 Ugin, and then the normal artifact that you would see in the list. Playset of stars, playset of spheres, playset of maps. He's also got a playset of the Oblivion Stone and 3 Relic of Progenitus in that main board. Spells for Sylvan Scrying and 4 Ancient Stirring, kind of the normal amount of lands. He's got 5 forests in there, 1 Sanctum of Ugin, 1 Ghost Quarter, and then a playset of each of the Tron pieces. We will go over sideboards when it gets to that, but let's jump into it. Battle of the Tattoos. I like it. Alright, so again, we do get to see between these two players, it is whoever has the higher seed is on the play or the draw. And being on the play works out really well when you're playing a deck like Affinity, where you can just kind of dump your hand and he says, hey, here's 4 cards. And that is one of the things that we do like to do here at Modern Magic Mondays, is kind of guess how many cards an Affinity player will drop down on their first turn. So that means that for the potential game 2, potential game 3s that we could have, you guys in chat will have to be taking those guesses on what you're going to think will pop up. Alright, it's champion. Metalcraft is activated. Hey, I've got a little bit of protection. I'm going to be pushing a lot of damage soon, so get ready. In the meantime, tower and a map. And let's see how we can assemble something better here. Lucas kind of going through his hand, seeing the best way he can to kind of craft this situation to help accelerate him into that Tron being assembled. So Edge Champion is a 2 of in this Frenzy list. Part of that could just be in regards to the meta for the top 8 invitational. Maybe he's not feeling like running that full set or only a 1 of and having more on the board. Could just be, hey, this is kind of my most expensive thing that I'm running. The top end of my list is these Etch Champions, which, can be a little bit annoying, but with the fact that you have Mox Opals, the Springleaf Drums, it's not that hard to be able to cast. It is kind of basically using up a turn to be able to do that, but here we're going to be seeing kind of the push for damage. And look at this kind of decision-making time. Where do I want this cranial plating? Do I want to just kill you with infect damage? Or do I just want to kill you with regular damage? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 artifacts. We did see a Vault Scourge come down, so TJ going to be dropping down to 18. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 artifacts. 9 points of damage. Puts him to 11. We also get to see 1 infect damage. I'm just here so I don't get fined. Alright, let's activate this map, he says. I'm going to go get this Ghost Quarter so I can be able to kill this Ink Moth if need be. And it makes a lot of sense while he'd go and get this kind of toolbox land, knowing that he's already sitting with 2 towers. Oh, Helio, are those Tron's Land Mark II? Oh, Mythic Championship, oh. If you guys did not hear about this, one of the players was disqualified in round 16 of the Mythic Invitational over the weekend for having a Tron deck with marked sleeves. Okay, let's start kind of cycling through things. Let's activate good old Blinky here. Let's activate Inky here. Here's a Mox blowing up this Mox. And let's get ready for some damage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. Look at this. He just sort of flips over the Galv Blast. Says, hey, here's 10 points of damage. Right? I'm coming to kill you. Oh, yeah, I also have this Galv Blast. Just in case you were trying to do something crazy, you're not surviving this turn. Whew. This is what the Affinity player wants to have happen. And this is a lot of how it goes. The Affinity player is kind of supposed to, quote-unquote, win that first round, and then it goes into sideboards where the other player usually takes that game 2, and it kind of goes into this sort of fight over game 3. Not necessarily sure if that will happen here, because TJ's really trying to assemble a good amount of sideboard stuff to allow him to take that game number 2 without having to worry. So let's go over sideboards, because TJ won game number 1. He gets to have his sideboard read first. So we've got 2 Dampening Spheres, 2 Blood Moons, 2 Aether Grid, 2 Wear and Tear, 1 Ancient Grudge, 1 Worship, 1 Spellskite, 2 Relics, 1 Grafdigger Cage, and 1 Torpor Orb. Dampening Sphere seems like a great one to be able to add into this list, kind of reducing the ability for a Tron player to be able to kind of produce more mana off their land seems pretty good. Blood Moon is also a consideration here. It's also kind of, I feel like Blood Moon could be a trap card, because Tron players, yeah, it shuts them off for a little bit, but they have so many ways to find lands that they're eventually going to get up to 7 mana, and then, hey, cool, you have this Blood Moon that you've had to commit to. That means you're not putting threats out to be able to do that. It is powerful, and there are turns where if you have a lot of pressure and threats to back it up, it could work out well. So that is definitely a decision to bring in. Let's see what else we got. Wear and tear might be a consideration to be able to bring in, having some removal here against like the Oblivions, things like that. Same thing for like Ancient Grudge. Can bring those in. Torpor Orb is one of those cards that like not really beneficial here, right? It's an ETB effect, but you're not that worried about a lot of enter the battlefield things. Like Ulamog coming out is a cast trigger, not an ETB effect. On the other side of things, like if there's a bunch of Thought Knot Seers or something coming in, but really you don't really care because you're trying to dump your hand with the way that TJ is doing things. So I like this. Yeah, Nan, discuss Blood Moon versus Tron, please, because the week before the Invitational, I was on Blue Moon and found out just how feels bad it is to be like, well, here's my Blood Moon without much threats with it. I'm just going to wait for you to get 7 mana and just cast your stuff anyway. So, going over to Lucas's sideboard there, he is running 1 Emrakul the Promised End, 2 Thought Knot Seer, 2 Warping Whale, 2 Dismember, 3 Nature's Claim, 3 Thragtusk, and 2 Fog. So, a lot of these cards, again, are very beneficial in this sort of matchup. Like the Nature's Claim seems pretty good. Having access to, like, Dismember seems pretty good. Even Warping Whale here, being able to exile a creature with a power or toughness 1 or less is really good, right? Most of the stuff that TJ's putting out has that 1 power or toughness. Also, things like Ink Moth or Blink Moth, these kind of ways for TJ to kind of pierce through instead of going wide, are ways to kind of just strip away. So you can adjust your numbers and bring in a lot more removal like that. I also like the Fog in there, right? If you know you're playing against this creature-based strategy and you're like, hey, I just need that like extra turn to kind of help myself out here, just mitigate some damage there. Let's kind of rock that out, and he's got 2 there. Better be beta for those Fogs. Nope. I hope that they're mismatch art then. M10. Okay, that's not a bad one. All right. Game 2. Let's get things going. Beta is too expensive for my blood. Is there a white border version of Fog? I feel like there is. Oh yeah, like because they came out in the original stuff, right? So like revised and things like that. 4th, 5th, 6th edition. All these kind of early versions of Fog. I need to get some white border versions of Fog. That's really that's the takeaway there. You can't say that with a straight face. 10th edition is terrible. 6th edition is pretty legit. Yeah. Oh my gosh, look at this. Who in chat was thinking there were going to be 5 cards on turn 1 for our Affinity player? Yikes. But Lucas, being able to go first, already has 2 Tron pieces ready to go. He's got his map ready to go. Let me look at the 6th edition again. I like, 7th is pretty good. Oh, yeah. Okay, 6th edition looks like just a big snake. I'm not as big a fan as the 6th edition as some of the other versions, I'll be honest. Okay, Volt Scourge. There's also the Blood Moon there that was able to come out. Pushing for damage here. I wasn't paying enough attention. I'm assuming he's swinging in for 1 to put him at 19. 1, 2, 3. And we also saw that Vault Scourge come down, so TJ is down to 18. But we do see the next Tron piece coming out here for Lucas. Mirage version. Let me look up the Mirage version of Fog. Alright, Mirage version. Mirage version's the same as 6th edition. Ah, the forest. Okay, here's a spell sky. Yeah, but you get that black border. Alright, here's some damage coming across. We've got 2 points of damage, which again is just kind of this go wide. I'm going to poke you here a little bit and kind of build up into something better. Looks like Luke is kind of debating about how he wants to go about things. Now, the spell sky does kind of make things a little bit awkward because it's basically saying you're going to need 2 removal spells to kind of get rid of this. Okay. Do we fight over it yet? He does have Dismember, and so that's where he's debating. Like, do I kind of force the issue now? Let's do it. Let's get rid of this spell skite, he says. I'm going to lose 4 life, go to 15. 2 points still coming across. He will take those 2 points of damage, dropping to 13. TJ going to gain a life off the Vault Scourge, going to 19. Two more points of damage. TJ not really able to kind of make something else happen yet, but drops Lucas down to 11. Follows it up with a Memnite. Did we decide if Blood Moon is good versus Tron? We decided, or at least from my perspective, unless you have some crazy power follow-up to really put a lot of pressure on, it's not that good. In this sort of situation, he's poking Lucas to death, right? Here's, boom, 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 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. But it's only a matter of time before Lucas is able to kind of really get anything else going. Yeah, like that's, Lyle's making a good point in chat saying that TJ still needs a payoff card to kind of finish him off, get things really going, and get that clock going a little bit faster. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lands now Lucas has, but here's 3 points of damage. Puts Lucas to 8. TJ is going to be back to 20, unless I miss a point of life, which is possible. But yeah, Ravager, Cranial Plating, those are the main things that TJ is hoping for, those kind of payoff cards. Even Experimental Frenzy, I feel like he'd be happy with here. So he can help that kind of go wide strategy. 6 Lucas is at here. 6 lands. What to do? What to do? Here's 3 more points of damage. Lucas falls down to 5. Ugh. Here's a Worm Coil. Let's start to gain some life, he says. Now you can only pretty much use your flyers against me. And without that, like, Cranial Plating or the Arcbound to kind of help out, it's just like, oh, okay. Here's 1. Right? Perennial playing for the win! Ravager for the win! Do something! Well, here's another land. Ooh, there's a fog in hand. Hey, here's 6. Oh, sorry. He was at 21. Give or take. Maybe he's higher than that. At 15. I could have missed some life gain, which I apologize if I did. And we'll see Lucas jump back up to 10. Let's find something good, he says. Ancient Stirrings. What's he going to go for? What does he care about here? Checking his math on his lands. He's got a fog in hand. He's got the Nature's Claim. So you see him kind of going back and forth with that Ulamog. And, I mean, that is definitely a game ender. We've talked about it many times on stream. Like, it's one of those, you cast it, and it's like already just kind of exiling 2 things away is pretty scary. Whether it lives or not is another thing. But the fact that if it lives, it's pretty much just like enter scoop phase, right? It's not going to go well. So here's 1 point of damage. Again, we're just kind of going in that poke phase. TJ going to go back up to 16. Yeah, what is in his hand? That's the real question here. Sitting at 4 lands right now. Nature's Claim! You look like you want to go back to 20 life, good sir. Because I'm going to deal 6 to you. You're going to go to 14. I'm going to go to 15. And then I got so much mana, I don't even know what to do with it. I might as well just cast an Ulamog. Yeah, so here's the thing. It's like you cast Ulamog. Like, the main target that you want to kill off here is Inkmoth. And I like just getting rid of... Yeah, boom. That's definitely getting that. But we got the World Breaker out. That way, we can be able to find another threat. And goes for our Walking Ballista. The Sanctum of Ugin trigger goes off. Search your library for a colorless creature card, reveal it, and put it into your hand. So having so much mana is nice because you can basically play this and be able to start picking apart any creatures that exist. Not only that... Oh, there's another land. Not only that, that World Breaker has reach. So any flying stuff, not going to go well. And look at this. He's just going to boom, 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 shoot, shoot, shoot. Let's go. Okay, so we see World Breaker coming in, and Inkmoth, or not Inkmoth, 11 points of damage, dropped him to 3. Ulamog cast trigger, let's get rid of it, and let's go to game number 3 there. So, again, that's where that situation where it's like Blood Moon feels like a trap. Like, the clock could have been a little bit faster if he didn't have Blood Moon and was able to sit there and activate his man lands there. I don't know. It's a tricky one, right? Lucas going back through, double checking his sideboard, seeing, okay, is there anything else that I miss that I need to bring in? Not really. Let's go through it. TJ feeling good with his, so we're gonna have to go through again. So we know he's brought in the Blood Moons. He's probably got some anti-artifact Probably's got some dampening spheres, kind of reducing some of the numbers of his cards, and he's got to hope that he can get something a little bit better. But, ooh, looks like he is kind of hopping back through here. Maybe he's like, do I need this? Is this the plan that I'm supposed to be at? And that's, I'll talk about it in chat again, too, is like that payoff card. The fact that TJ did not draw any of his payoff cards there was what hurt him the most. Like, an Arcbound there, that could have made a big difference, but really he was wanting the cranial plating. All right? If he had the cranial plating, he could have kind of done like a split attack. Hey, here's my Ornithopter flying at you for like 10 points of damage, right? Then you're going to have to try to kill my Ornithopter, and I'm still poking you for like 1 or 2 here and there. So Lucas doing a really good job being patient and not firing off some of his removal spells too early. You saw him kind of using the Dismember, killing off the Spell Sky early, and just kind of holding back on the Nature's Claim, holding back on the Fog, not really feeling like, hey, I need to use these now, but I can just kind of wait, and when the time comes, I'll know when to use them. Yeah, like, there was never like a huge amount of pressure. Like, even if there was that cranial plating, that payoff card, we would have just seen a Fog get used. But there wasn't, so who knows? Even like an Experimental Frenzy there to kind of really accelerate things along would have been good. But it's going to be an interesting Game 3. Now, TJ, again, is our 3-time champion, hoping for his 4th chance at a championship. If he beats Lucas here, he makes it into the finals to play against the Golgari Rock deck that Matt is piloting. Lucas, on the other hand, has been AFK, or AFT, away from the table for years, if you will, has not been able to participate and play in any of our Modern Magic Monday events, but has finally made his return this season and has made it in to the top 8 Invitational and has already made it to the semifinals, trying to prove that even though he's been away, he still has the skills to compete with the best of them. All right, 2 cards, a lot less than last time. We saw 4 cards game 1, 5 cards game number 2, and here we see things going with a power plant into a map. Dampening Sphere is a great way to go about things, though. So the Dampening Sphere is going to be nice. If a land is tapped for 2 or more mana, it produces 1 colorless instead of any other type. Where are them creatures at, though? And hey, we're going to try to push with this, but let's just kill that off. All right, adding in that removal package is really important here. So we did see that kind of Warping Whale to say, exile this guy, and followed up with, hey, here is an artifact that's not really going to help me here, right? Springleaf Drum. Cool. It's looking like TJ's keeping on the power of the Dampening Sphere more than anything else. Here's another Ink Moth. Double checks the Oblivion, goes, okay, alright, you can't blow up my Ink Moth at least. Here's a Memnite. Let's pass. Welding Jar is going to be relevant as well to regenerate target artifact. Alright, so he could be able to help keep something alive in this big board wipe, like Dampening Sphere or something like that. Alright, isn't Oblivion Stone destroy all non-land? Let's see. Oblivion Stone, sack, destroy each non-land permanent with a fate counter that doesn't have a fate counter. Remove all fate counters. Okay. All right. Still assembling here. Star hits the field for Lucas. TJ's still trying to find some threats. Right now, he's got essentially 2. Right, he's got the basically 2 points of damage between his 2 threats here. Looks like he's got more lands in his hand. Yep. Any payouts? Not really. 2 damage. Very slow clock coming, though. Memnite and Blinkmoth. Ghost Quarter going to be nice. Basically a way to just shut off one of the 2 threats that TJ has. There's the Ghost Quarter. Let's pass. Also, Lucas is up to 5 mana now. So that means that Oblivion Stone is online. So TJ is going to be much more conservative about his Blinkmoth. And with just 1 point of damage, Lucas can just kind of shrug and continue to develop his board state here of lands. It says, let's just do it. Dampening Sphere going to be protected here with the Welding Jar. Everything else is gone. All those cards down there on the bottom side are graveyard/exile pile for TJ, so not really relevant to how the battlefield is, even though Lucas's lands are kind of encroaching near TJ's graveyard, or at least just placement-wise. And hey, here's another Oblivion Stone. Let's pump him up, he says. 2 points of damage. Now we got a clock going. Well, even though his lands don't produce more mana, he's up to 7 mana, though. Let's blow this up. Now I get to have access to all of my mana. Uh-oh. Does he got a payout card? Rearranging his lands. Looks like we are going to see a nice little payout here. Karn hits the field. We're going to be popping our Sanctum of Ugin and finding that World Breaker here, which is kind of like a shutdown. Hey, let's get rid of one of your threats, and now this big guy's got reach. Please exile a card from your hand. Spellskite. I'll take that. And Scoop Phase commences. TJ not able to really find anything to make it happen, and Lucas just sort of kind of grinding it out through the Dampening Sphere, through the Blood Moon, and will be advancing on into the finals there. So tough position there where it shows these cards that are supposed to be designed to kind of help mess with land decks, right? Things like Dampening Sphere, things like Blood Moon are okay, but if you aren't able to follow it up, if you don't have the pressure, it makes it tough. Plus, Game 2 and 3, Lucas had Oblivion, or pretty much Oblivion Stones to kind of mess with his opponent. Game 3 in particular, having double Oblivion Stone back to back was just like, hey, if you're trying to go wide like you did previously, not going to work. So I hope you're ready to kind of fight through all of this. And TJ just kind of gets stuck with not finding much pressure there, which is, it happens sometimes. That's, some of the variants of Magic. But we have our finals now. Lucas versus Matt. Tron versus the Golgari Rock deck. So mid-range versus Tron normally is a very difficult matchup for our mid-range player. We're going to see how things work out, though,